Good evening, everyone, and I would like to welcome you to the Program Standing Committee tonight, May 13th. So we will begin with the land acknowledgement of the traditional territory, and that is being read by Superintendent Fennell.
Simcoe County District School Board acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. The Anishinaabe include the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Bodwe-Otomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people.
Thank you. So please rise if you are able for the national anthem. Tonight's version of the national anthem is courtesy of Barrie North Collegiate Institute. And that takes us to the statement of respect, and that will be read by Superintendent Fennell.
The SCDSB is committed to creating a culture of belonging, engagement, and success for all through deliberate actions and intentional focus in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The SCDSB Board of Trustees will conduct meetings in an inclusive, respectful manner that upholds the principles of respect for human rights and allows all members, staff, and guests to participate fully, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, age, ability, and gender.
Thank you very much. And that takes us to our roll call. This evening, we do not have any regrets, and we have electronic participation from Trustee Foley. And that takes us to our approval of our agenda. Do I have a mover for tonight's agenda? Trustee Talbot, seconded by Trustee Harrigan. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of that? Any opposed? Okay, and that is carried. Are there any declaration of conflicts of interest this evening? Okay, I don't see any. We do not have any presentations or delegations. So that takes us to items for decision. And our first one, or only one, is staff reports. So Pro-D-1A, review of policy 4116, French as a second language, French immersion. And that will be from Associate Director Maltby, please.
Thank you. And through the chair, before you use the policy 4116, which is the French as a second language and French immersion policy. At this time, the policy was updated just in terms of corporate standards, but there was no changes to the program aspects in regards to the parameters for the program, the hours required within the program. So this policy is status quo. With that, happy to take questions.
Are there any questions? Okay, Trustee Lloyd, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you to Associate Director. With respect to the program, there's no changes to the policy, so I just want to make sure that the program is still continuing, still vibrant. There's no adjustments required anywhere to what we were doing and how we were operating the program.
Okay, Associate Director Maltby.
Thank you. And through the chair to Trustee Lloyd. So the simple answer is no, none were required. We did an update to the hours. I think I'm looking towards Executive Assistant Cano. We did those updates a few years ago in terms of defining the hours, but there was no need to make any changes to the program. It is a vibrant program that continues to service many kids across the county.
Thank you.
No follow-up. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I don't see any. There is a recommendation. Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Bites. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm out of your field of view right here. Thank you, through you, Chair Grummett, to Associate Director Maltby. I just wanted to ask how the wait lists are going and if there is any plans to expand the French immersion program in the future as we grow. I know, was it last year or the year before, we added some programs in the Bradford schools. So I was just wondering if there was any news on that front.
Okay, Associate Director Maltby.
Thank you. And through the chair to Trustee Bites. Part of French immersion is to be responsible and grow with sustainability in terms of the people and the staff we have in front of students. I did meet with Superintendent McLean around some wait lists that we believe we can offer some students. So we continue to work on that.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions? Okay, there is a recommendation that the Program Standing Committee recommend that the board approve that policy 4116, French as a second language, French immersion remains status quo as set out in Appendix B of report number Pro-D-1A, revisions to policy 4116, French as a second language, French immersion dated May 13th, 2026. Do I have a mover? Cheap. Trustee Lloyd, seconded by Trustee Connors. All in favor? Any opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. And that takes us to items for information, staff reports. And the first one is Pro-I-1A, strategies to support Indigenous student achievement and well-being. And I will invite Superintendent Playford, please.
Thank you, Chairperson Grummett. With your permission, I would like to invite Tiffany McDonald, graduation coach for Indigenous students, Dustin Murphy and Lisa Liggers, both resource teachers with the Indigenous Education Department, to join me at the table.
Wonderful. Yes, please join us.
To the chairperson. The document before you describes the efforts of the Simcoe County District School Board Indigenous Education Department this past school year to support all students, staff, and families who self-identify as Indigenous, as well as support all students and staff members in their learning journey. The SCDSB continues to put forward a concerted effort to move forward in a good way in meeting the expectations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada calls to action, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, otherwise known as UNDRIP, and the Ontario First Nation, Métis, and Inuit Education Policy Framework. The latter is meant to address high levels of student achievement, reduce gaps in student achievement, and high levels of public confidence. Tonight's presentation is by no means an exhaustive list of the activities associated with the Indigenous Education Department. Direct staff support, such as social workers, attendance counselors, research analysts, and others, continue to support students, families, staff, and the system as a whole. Last year, the Ministry of Education changed the format of the board action plan for Indigenous education to focus on 4 major areas: supporting students, supporting educators, engagement and awareness building, and supporting Indigenous education planning. Within each of these areas, we have identified various initiatives. The following presentation captures our focus on some of these strategies used to support Indigenous student achievement and well-being through these initiatives. This presentation aims to highlight the following: celebrating culture at graduation, the Turtle Island Timeline Project, sense of belonging and enhancing student achievement, and embedding Indigenous perspectives and leadership in curriculum. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Tiffany to give you a brief overview of celebrating culture at graduation.
From an Indigenous perspective, celebrating culture is an essential part of supporting student success, which extends far beyond the classroom grades and academic achievement. It involves nurturing identity, connecting to community, and a strong sense of belonging. Secondary school students have been creating ribbon skirts and ribbon shirts, as well as beaded grad caps for graduation ceremonies to enhance cultural pride and connection to culture in a meaningful way. We are now going to hear from 2 grade 12 students from Eastview Secondary School who will share their experiences creating a ribbon skirt and ribbon shirt.
Hi, my name's Amelia Lasser. I'm a grade 12 student from Eastview Secondary, and my post-secondary plan is to go to Georgian College for a pre-health.
Hi, my name is Jordan Maluga. I'm a grade 12 student here at Eastview, and I'm planning to go to Georgian College this fall for developmental support work. We had a workshop this past February in which we learned how to sew ribbon skirts and shirts.
There was a variety of materials we could pick from, so we could choose the ones that we liked and the ones that spoke to us.
We were also taught how to measure properly, where to cut, pin, and how to sew with sewing machines.
It was really frustrating at some points and could be a bit challenging, but it was super fun and it was all worth it in the end.
I'm happy I got the chance to make this ribbon shirt as it allows me to represent my culture at my future graduation and all other future experiences I may have.
Even after graduation and all the experiences, I'm super happy I got to learn these skills so I can help teach future generations these skills so they can have the same proud and connected feelings I'll have.
I feel continuously supported by the Lodge for my upcoming graduation and beyond that point.
Having these cultural experiences are really beneficial, especially when we get to walk across that stage with our ribbon skirts that we had to go through the challenge of making, because it helps us feel more connected to our culture and the ability to show it off.
When students see their culture reflected and honored in their learning environments, they are more empowered to succeed, build confidence, and walk proudly in Indigenous ways of knowing.
The Turtle Island Timeline Project. With the guidance of our partnering Indigenous communities in Simcoe County District School Board, we've created the Turtle Island Timeline, a learning opportunity that invites students to explore Indigenous history in Canada through a lens that honors and embeds Indigenous worldview and perspectives throughout. The Timeline Project includes learning about time immemorial, a time of contact, colonization, the Indian Act, as well as Indigenous resilience and brilliance. By centering Indigenous voices, stories, and ways of knowing, the Turtle Island Timeline learning experience is designed to foster a deeper understanding of historical and contemporary realities. The goal was to create meaningful connections for all students, encouraging empathy, respect, and a shared responsibility for reconciliation. The pilot project rolled out in selected grade 5 classes this year and has many curriculum connections. Next year, there will be a pilot to implement the learning in selected grade 11 and BE classes. To be able to assess the impact on student learning and teacher learning and readiness, data was a focal point of the project. We partnered with the research department to formulate a pre-survey for students, as well as a post-survey for both students and teachers to assess the effectiveness of the learning experience. The data demonstrates the value in this learning opportunity and highlights the increase in understanding students had about Indigenous history, worldviews, and perspectives. Here, in quotes, are some reflections from educator Emma Ironside at Forest Hill about why this learning is important, the impact it had, and next steps for consideration. So from Emma, this learning feels important to me because it deepened my own understanding of Indigenous histories and perspectives that I know I didn't fully learn growing up. I want to continue bringing this learning into my classroom in meaningful ways and also share it with colleagues so we can support each other in doing this work thoughtfully. And this experience reminded me of my responsibility as an educator to share these truths honestly and to help my students build respect for the land and the people who have cared for it long before us. It also reminds me of the importance of lifelong learning and always taking opportunities to build our own knowledge for stronger reconciliation. Here's a short video from a student, Sky, from Forest Hill, who shares some of her thoughts about participating in the learning.
Why is this learning important?
It is important to learn about Indigenous people in Canada because they were the first on the land, and colonization changed their ways of life because they weren't allowed to be themselves. This learning helps Indigenous people to keep their culture alive.
How did the learning make you feel, and what was the impact?
When I was learning about Turtle Island timeline, I felt scared for them. I also felt frustrated and sad because they lost a lot of their rights. In my heart, I felt that this learning was important to know.
Next up is a video of one of our recent graduate students, Naya, from Barrie North Collegiate Institute, discussing the impact of the graduation coach and the lodge space within her school on her journey towards her post-secondary pathway.
Can you tell me how your graduation coach has influenced your high school experience?
Absolutely, I can. I would say influence is 100% an understatement of Mr. Taylor. I've mainly been working with him for about four or 5 years now, and my journey has been incredible. It's because of him that I have become the artist and the person I am today, and it's because of him he has been able to push me and really absolutely coach me on a life journey. And especially for, I think, minority groups within the education system, like Indigenous students, we are extra prone to all these different issues at home, right? And the way Mr. Taylor, Mr. Lehay approach you is through a much more humane aspect than I would say other staff members have approached me. And having that extra aspect of just kindness and gentleness has really just affirmed who I am and has made me comfortable coming to them, right, about any sort of issues. All the opportunities and things that they have sacrificed going beyond their role as a graduation coach has all kind of elevated my experience here at Barrie North.
Thank you.
Of course.
Naya, so another question for you. How has our lodge helped support you in your success?
It has allowed me to use my gift to actually make cultural-based artwork and push me to a bigger picture than I ever knew that was possible, right? I think within that, when I first started making art, I didn't really know what type of art I wanted to make, right? And at first, before I started to get really involved with the lodge, grade 9, grade 10, I just felt really lost and my art wasn't as powerful, right? But then I found so much purpose through kind of connecting within the lodge, and then through Mr. Taylor's and Mr. Lehay's support, they encouraged me to make this beautiful artwork. And through that, I just kept making better and bigger pieces, right? And from that, my success has grown immensely, more than I could ever really imagine through any sort of other staff members at the school or any other resources at the school, right? It's all solely because of them. I've been able to make this cultural almost movement, I think, for others as well to kind of look at, right? Especially for other students coming within the lodge. I think it makes everyone successful just having that. And hopefully we can soon indigenize the whole school through.
This is a quote from one of our grade 10 students, also from Barrie North Collegiate Institute, discussing the importance of the lodge space supporting a sense of belonging. I see myself all around the space with the cultural paintings and smudging material. It's a reminder that I have people like me near.
Indigenous students at 7th Fire Rama participated in a coding and mathematics project, partnered with Dr. Ruth Beatty from Lakehead University and local Indigenous beading artist Hilary Higgs to design their beading and bring their creations to life. As a leadership opportunity, 7th Fire students then mentored younger students at Minjikaning Kendoswan Elementary School in the Rama community to complete the same activity. Now the students from Minjikaning Kendoswan are taking leadership with their peers at Rama Central Public School, one of our SCDSB schools, to do the same project. This project has not only built mathematics skills, it has taught about traditional beading and provided leadership opportunities, as well as built relationships both within the Rama community and between the SCDSB and the Rama community. Some of the student quotes from 7th Fire: "The learning today made my spirit feel good. Today I learned how to code my beading pattern. It was a bit difficult, but I used my patience, and once I got the hang of it, it became easy. I look forward to learning more about beading. Today I created my own pattern. It made me use my creativity and imagination. I'm actually starting to like coding. Today I felt like I was soaring through the coding to make a beading pattern. I learned how to code and bead. I used my math skills for coding. I can now code and bead outside of school. I feel satisfied that I finished my bracelet and I'm now planning my second one."
And with that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that report. Do I have any questions? Trustee Lloyd.
Thank you, and through you to our presenters, thank you for being here this evening. I have served on our First Nations Education Advisory Committee for a long time, something very important to me. And I do want to congratulate you because for a very long time, I had very concerns that we were doing great work in the north, but I wasn't confident that we were doing it board-wide. And so I think this report illustrates our expansion of the program and the services to ensure that we're serving all students across the board, which I think is incredibly important. And I just want to acknowledge, I do have discussions with some of the members from our First Nation Advisory Committee, and they are very, very appreciative and very respectful of the work that's being done in this board and the commitment to it. And it's interesting because one of their concerns moving forward is the same opportunities may not present itself as readily under Bill 101 and some of the changes that are anticipated. And they're very, very concerned about that. So, I also sit on the Ontario Public School Board Association board, so I do hear a fair bit of what's going on province-wide, and we're doing an exceptional job here, and I just want to share that with the presenters here and to make sure that everybody on the team knows that the work you're doing is being recognized and appreciated. And, we have strongly committed to this. And, I'm very hopeful that with the pending changes, that doesn't change. And, I think our students are very appreciative. And one of the things that was mentioned earlier was cultural pride. And, when I go to the graduations for Aurelia Secondary School and Twin Lakes Secondary School in my area, and one of the things that's very visible is pride. Yeah, and the students are glowing at their graduation, and they are so proud of where they've come and what they're doing and their successes as they move forward. And so I just wanted to share that with you and say thank you for the good work that you're doing.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? Trustee Strawn, please.
Thank you. And I'll echo Trustee Lloyd's comments and just saying thank you to you, Superintendent Playford, and your entire team within all of the schools I've been to several of the Indigenous spaces within the schools, and especially at Barrie North Collegiate. That is an amazing space filled with incredible artwork, and we got to see some of it on the screen here today, but you can really feel it when you're in this space, and it's very special. And I think we heard from Naya through the video that the graduation coaches are making such a huge impact with our Indigenous students. And as Trustee Lloyd said, we're doing so much great work. And I guess my question is, how can we continue to expand that work? How can we work to foster like these characteristics that the Indigenous coaches bring to our Indigenous students to give all of our educators those tools and that capacity to work with our students to increase the impact for student well-being and student success? Because I think we're doing an incredible job, and even just this presentation inspires us to want to do more. And so how can we share this out with more of our educators and across our system to just continue to have that impact?
Okay, Superintendent Playford.
Thank you, Chair Grimmett, to Trustee Strawn. So I have a number of answers, I think. But I'd like to start with, and I do appreciate you commending, as is Trustee Lloyd, that the team. And it is a team. So thank you for saying my team, but it is not my team. It is the board's team, and I am a member of the team. So I see each of us as on an equal playing field in doing this work. So there are a number of things we do. So the amount of professional development we have done with educators is vast. Specific educators, so indigenizing the geography curriculum, embedding Indigenous perspectives into early literacy. So many teachers in just those two projects alone. We've had professional development from our assistant manager with all employee groups, frontline staff in schools, any opportunity we have, obviously administrators, Ps, VPs, managers. So whenever the opportunity comes, we like to do that. We also are supporting some of our Indigenous staff to go to Teachers College. So we are supporting their tuition. So to I think it was Raya's point, see myself in the school. So hopefully some of those will graduate, but hopefully they become some of our teachers in our elementary schools, which would be great. And just I know it's just a snapshot, but we do take so with Dustin and Lisa, just two members of the itinerant resource teachers. They work mostly with educators, K to 12, grad coaches like Tiffany and other grad coaches, student advisors work with students, all students, and in that working with students, you're working with staff as well, doing those educational things. So, and I don't know if this group was, I know some people here were part when we brought the map in and we had it here. That was so even trustees get learning. So, that may come back in the future. So whenever an opportunity presents itself, or whenever we can find an opportunity, we do our best to try to do that teaching and learning in a good way.
Any follow-up? Yep. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Trustee Bites?
Thank you. Through you, Chair Grummett, to Superintendent Playford. I wanted to just ask a couple clarification questions. How many grad coaches do we have for Indigenous students? Because it almost sounded like we have two at Barrie North, and do they travel around to our other schools, or do we have lodges at all our schools? I know Trustee Lloyd said, it's good we're moving south, but Barrie North still says north. So I was just wondering if you could comment on the efforts further south in our board.
Through the chair to Trustee Bites. Did you have another question too? Because you said a couple of questions. I can probably answer them all at the same time.
Yes. I also wanted to ask about the Turtle Island project, how many schools got to participate in that and what the expansion is for that. I know you said grade 11 and then you made some acronym to some course that I wasn't sure what it was. So I just wanted to get some more clarification on that. And yeah, those were the two.
So thank you through the chair to Trustee Bites. So I will answer the first question and then I will turn it over to Dustin for the second question. So our Indigenous Education Department, from our support staff to myself, is the largest in the province. We have over 30 staff. 10 of them are graduation coaches. So they work, there's a permanent graduation coach in 4 of our high schools, and the other 6 work with all the other high schools, as well as liaison with the elementary school. So we have 10. Again, I believe it's the biggest in the province. So we are pretty big and we try to do as much as we can and meet the needs of as many students as we can. And we're working on, those graduation rates amongst that. A big part of it is not only graduation, but the sense of belonging and well-being. So that's why the staff are there doing that. I'm going to turn it over to Dustin for the timeline question.
Okay, through the chair. We piloted the learning with 3 classrooms in the board. They were 2 Barrie schools and a school in Cookstown. So we tried to move around a little bit with that. And with the expansion of the learning, there's been conversation amongst our team about sharing that out across grade 5 teachers throughout the system. So again, supporting teachers throughout rather than in just those more northern pockets. To address the grade 11 NBE, that is the grade 11 English program that is Indigenous focused. So all schools run that one in Simcoe County for their grade 11 English. So it's a natural fit to kind of have that to start the learning for those groups for the year.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you again for that wonderful report. Now that takes us to item B under staff reports, Pro-I-1B, 2025-26 student nutrition, and I will invite Superintendent Newby for that report.
Good evening, and through the chair, with your permission, I'd like to invite the Principal of Student Services, Christy Reynolds, and Manager of Research and Policy, Lisa Newton, to the table, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, please join us.
Thank you, and through the chair to the table, we're excited to bring forward this report on student nutrition programs and share an overview of the work that has taken place during the year, as well as the in-person approach to collecting baseline data. Before delving into the report, I'd like to share that in line with our commitment to accessing available sources of additional funding, Simcoe County District School Board has been awarded a micro grant through the Social and Community Investment Fund offered by Simcoe County. Manager of Research Lisa Newton will be sharing more details about the SCIF grant following this overview. It's been incredible to work with a fantastic team that spans multiple departments and schools across the system. We've heard about innovative practices and creative collaborations moving us toward the goal of increasing access to healthy food. Principal of Student Services Christy Reynolds will provide some examples, including the leadership of our very own student trustee, Clevin Kim. We're extremely proud of the work that's taken place that so clearly demonstrates our commitment to the core strategic priorities of teaching and learning, diversity, equity, and inclusion, community, and well-being. The data collection process involved interviews with school administrators to understand firsthand how nutrition programs are run within schools. Though the overall number of schools is higher than 102, some principals provided feedback from multiple school sites, like learning centers and schools that share an administrator. Nutrition programs consist of a variety of elements beyond the food itself, including equipment like appliances, carts and bins for distribution, storage spaces, meal planning guides, and most importantly, the staff, students, and community members that bring the programs to life. These are the 4 broad categories of providers who contribute to the healthy foods served in schools every day. Grocery stores, donations from local agencies, which may also include grocery stores, local farms, and food banks. And this is a snapshot of funding sources. It's important to note that most schools have listed multiple sources of funding accessed at various times throughout the year. Here we have a sample of current partnerships. Not all are listed here, and we're always open to exploring new opportunities for collaboration. Our community partnerships are the backbone of our nutrition programs, providing free or significantly discounted food items, not only for the students, but their families at home as well. For example, the Sharing Place Food Center runs the school fuel program that increases the buying power of schools to access nutritious food options at a fraction of the cost of a typical grocery purchase. The Pavlik Foundation supports families by providing backpacks with ingredients for meals and packaged items to feed a family over the weekend that students can take home on Fridays. Both of these programs are looking to expand their reach, and we are working with them and all of the organizations listed to maximize support for students and families. On these slides, we see answers to some common questions about nutrition programs. We can appreciate the overlap in several areas. For example, volunteers or staff prepare the snacks for distribution by the students. So that may be how schools distribute the food in some sense, where you see a bin in office distributed by students, volunteers. It's a team effort in most instances. And here we see some information with regards to supports, infrastructure and other forms of supports. The most common appliance in schools is a refrigerator, which allows for a broader assortment of food options. Eat Well to Excel has been instrumental in assisting schools with purchasing standard and glass front refrigerators. We interviewed administrators about the types of foods served, as our commitment to food access prioritizes healthy food options in line with the Ontario Student Nutrition Guidelines. The goal is to provide nutritious, minimally processed meals and snacks such as vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and proteins. The Ontario Student Nutrition Program guidelines require meals to include at least one vegetable or fruit, one protein food, and one whole grain. Currently, 35 schools are providing meals based on this definition. We are committed to seeing this number increase, particularly in the case of morning meals, which can positively impact student attention, energy, and subsequent learning for the day. In summary, our next steps for student nutrition programs span 3 areas: education and capacity building, enhancement of offerings to include more complete meals, and fostering partnerships both within the school board as well as with external partners. Principal Reynolds was directly involved in the data collection process and will provide a few highlights based on her experience. Principal Reynolds.
Thank you. Through the chair and to the table. As we continue strengthening our nutrition program portfolio, I want to highlight the power of collecting meaningful data. Not just numbers on a page, but stories, experiences, and relationships that guide us toward better food access every student in our school communities. Over the past school year, I've had the privilege of meeting with administrators across SCDSB. These conversations were more than site visits. They were windows into the lived realities of students and staff. That time together grounded our work and reminded us that effective data collection begins with genuine human connection. We witnessed snack and breakfast programs in action in real time. Partnering with Central educator Deb Shackle, whose background in mental health and teaching brought a thoughtful and compassionate lens to our process, which elevated this work even further. Together, we transformed our interview surveys into experiences that created opportunities for people to feel heard rather than questioned. This personal approach didn't just improve the quality of the data, however, it strengthened trust, sparked new partnerships, and opened doors with both schools and community agencies, which has led us to being invited to other school meetings and initiatives. We saw this clearly during our meeting at the Lakehead University Aurelia campus, where we collaborated alongside community partners such as School Fuel and the Pavlik Foundation. That gathering demonstrated what becomes possible when data, community insight, and a shared purpose and commitment to student well-being come together. Another powerful example is the work of student trustee Clevin Kim, whose initiative to build stronger relationships between secondary and elementary schools has reshaped how we think about food access. His Baking Buddies initiative brings younger and older students together, creating mentorship, skill development, and most importantly, a sense of belonging while strengthening breakfast programs. His initiative shows us that food access is not only about providing nourishment, it's also about creating experiences that build community. I would now like to turn things over to Manager Newton, who will share information around the Social and Community Investment Fund.
Through the chair and to the table, the Social and Community Investment Fund, or SCIF as it's normally called, supports larger scale, strategic, and often multi-year initiatives through their regular funding stream. The SCDSB applied for a SCIF micro grant on March 16th of this school year. A micro grant is designed for smaller scale, time limited, or innovative initiatives supporting communities in Simcoe County. Yesterday, a recommendation was made by the SCIF Allocations Committee and formally approved by Simcoe County Council that the SCDSB was approved to receive this micro grant SCIF funding. The micro funding stream helps organizations pilot new ideas or respond quickly to growing urgent needs. The basis for approval includes applications that can demonstrate innovative initiatives which help to connect communities in Simcoe County, and specifically SCIF microgrants support initiatives that deliver targeted and evidence-informed programs which can demonstrate evidence-based decision-making. The priority area that we focused on in the application was urgent basic needs, and the work highlighted in this evening's presentation also was used in our successful SCIF application. Thank you.
And with that, Chair, happy to take any questions.
Excellent. There's so much there to celebrate. So thank you so very much. Questions and comments? I will start with Chair Rafiq.
Thank you very much. I saw you looking right at me. Otherwise, I was going to try and let other people go first. But of course, I have things to say. Thank you very much for this report and for all the work that has been done and gone into it. I really, really am so appreciative. I know we've talked a lot at this table about student nutrition, and I think understanding what our schools are doing is key for us to be able to move forward. Because as you've explained and as we knew, it's so different everywhere in every school, and it depends on their staff and their students and their community and the volunteers, and it depends on so many things. And so it's hard for us to know the best way to help, right? To assist these programs to grow, and where can we best help for that? So I'm very excited to see all of the information. So I do have a few questions. So one of mine was in next steps there, I saw so continuing to pursue various avenues for funding, such as applying for grants where eligible and raising awareness for schools and communities on what's available. So one of the concerns I always have there is I feel like the schools who are in most need are the most overwhelmed, right? And they're already trying to do so many things at once. And so I'm just wondering, have we looked at that, or are there ways that we can support schools in their trying to apply for these applications and grants? Like, are we going to kind of let them know what's available? Are we going to support them in the process? That's one of my questions. I'll start there.
Hey, thank you. And through the chair to Trustee Rafiq. So certainly we recognize that there are some schools that may struggle with things like grant applications. It's another thing that they would need to do. So that's part of the reason why we as a school board are applying for grants on behalf of, right? So again, this micro grant, we can select schools that maybe would not have had the opportunity to apply for this grant, and we can direct some of the funds in that direction. So we're still working on it as a board and then looking at specific schools. That's one aspect. The other is our intention to, in terms of next steps, we said education is one of the areas. So our plan going forward is to create a guide and some information and best practices for accessing funds, because sometimes, to your point, people are not sure what's available. They're not sure what they can access. So taking a look at sharing that information so they don't have to do the research on their own, we can certainly provide some additional help and assistance with that.
Okay. One more follow-up?
Yes, thank you. I have a couple, but I'll ask one more question and then see if anyone else has anything. Was I going to ask? Oh, so looking at the different things that schools are doing. So a couple of things that surprised me there. So one of your circles had fresh food and one. So that was surprising and unfortunate to see. I know after COVID, there was a big change in student nutrition programs. It went to prepackaged everything. And around that time, maybe a couple of years or a year or so before that, there was also a big push from the health unit with a lot of things changed with having to have your safe food handling and things like that. So I'm wondering what the barriers are to schools that are serving fresh food. Is it that they don't have someone in the building that has that safe food or food handling certificate? Is it the equipment? I don't know if it's, I hope it's not the same, but I know it was. You literally can't cut an apple unless you have 3 sinks. And so I'm wondering if those are the barriers that some of these schools are experiencing. And then I have to say, I'm a little disappointed when I see that the main way of offering food is a bin in the office, because I don't think that it's totally accessible to children that way. I think that there are kids that won't necessarily go to the office when they're hungry. I think lots do, but I always just worry that that's not a completely accessible, it's not universal access for the school. So again, I'm kind of wondering what the barriers are there. Are they busy with, not having enough volunteers to kind of take it in each classroom or things like that? But so I guess I'm just wondering about a lot of barriers for schools.
Thank you so much. And through you, Chair, I'm going to pass it to the person who has had the experience of talking about these things with the principals. So I'm going to pass this to Principal Reynolds, and certainly as well, Manager Newton can also weigh in on this if she would so choose. Thank you.
Through the chair to the table, thank you so much for the question. As you have highlighted, every school is unique and different in its own way. So we're hoping that this handbook will highlight areas of how we can take away stigma around food. So having it not just in the office and having other places. We have lots of great examples of moving snack more to a breakfast type of a option. So some of our schools have like breakfast stations that are set up in the office in high schools where they come in, they use their toasters, et cetera. We also have where trays are made up every morning by volunteers and they're brought into each class so kids can just graze until the afternoon. So it's always there, so it's more of a breakfast. So yes, I agree that that's an area that we're trying to grow in, and we hope that this handbook will help support that moving forward with ideas of a continuum of where schools can start wherever they are on it. They have different options to implement into their schools.
Okay, Director Stevens, please.
Hi, thank you. And through you, Chair to Chair Rafik, and just to clarify, because I looked at that Venn diagram as well quite a bit. And so we talked about it even in our meeting prior with the senior team. If you looked on the side and you had to do the math, at 88 schools, there's fresh food. Okay, so it's not just one. So I just wanted to make that clear. You had to count all the numbers up because they all intersected. So we had 92 schools with non-perishable, 88 schools with fresh food, 18 schools with hot food, and then non-perishable snacks and fresh food with 70 schools, and then all 3 types was 17 schools.
Thank you for that clarification. That is very helpful. Trustee Rafik, you just had a quick follow-up.
Yeah, just really quickly. Thank you. Because yes, I kind of had in there, okay, but then on the next one, it shows fruits and vegetables, and I must have missed that line. That just stood out to me there. So thank you for that clarification. I should have looked more carefully. Thank you.
Trustee Lloyd, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your presentation. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. I started a breakfast program many, many years ago, and I think I picked up food and cooked in it for 8 years. But I was at the Education and Policy Working Group meeting last Friday for the Ontario Public School Board Association, and there is significant challenges in the province of Ontario with respect to provincial contribution to this. In Ontario, they haven't increased the funding since 2014, and the average median per capita is 0.63 cents per student, and Ontario's is 0.09. So we are significantly lacking in the province of Ontario with support for these programs. So they are working on that, and there's a lobby effort there to try and increase that, because one of the main obstacles, of course, is the funds to purchase the food or to get the donors for the food. I'm just wondering if you think it would help with programs. I know there's a lot of people who've been involved in breakfast programs, who've started breakfast programs, who can provide insight or help to schools where they're trying to build a program. So I'm just wondering if there's been consideration given to like a mentoring program or a mentorship to try and help schools, because it does require a champion at the site. If you talk to my oldest son, he still talks about me driving around town and having him get out of the car and run in to pick up the donations and things like that. So it does take a fair bit of volunteer effort and commitment to do it. So, sometimes I think sharing, instead of reinventing the wheel, sometimes if we share our best practices and the things that have worked and been successful, if that might be a consideration.
Through the chair to the table. I think that the mentorship, we have an amazing example through student trustee Clevin Kim, where he's mentoring, bringing students from secondary school into elementary school to mentor them. Just to explain it a little bit, he has a group of students that he's brought into. They got their handler's license, certificates, and they came into the elementary school with a group of interested students to learn to cook. He mentored with them with his group. They cook food together and bake. They bake muffins on Monday. It's just a really nice, unique mentorship there. I think also within our handbook that we're going to be creating, that will also lead to examples of ways to get food into our schools. And I also wanted to highlight, as Director Stevens did, that I'm very proud to say that in elementary schools and secondary schools, fresh food is all over and in our schools, and it's been a really nice change. I think we've all focused on changing to more fresh foods in our schools as well.
Okay, a follow-up, Trustee Lloyd.
Thank you. Happened to be in the grocery store yesterday, and there was a lady in front of me who was buying oranges to deliver to a number of schools, and she had them separating them all into individual bags in the checkout line so she could deliver them. But my other question is related to volunteers. It's really hard and getting harder to secure volunteers. I'm just wondering if we have done a lot of work into partnerships, because I know when I did this, which was a long time ago now, but we didn't have enough volunteers. And so I approached a seniors organization who partnered with us and provided 2 volunteers every day to the program. And then we had 1 parent volunteer come in. So there are ways to access volunteers in the community. It takes a fair bit of sometimes we think we need just have to go outside of the actual small community because parents are already pretty, strapped in what they can do and contribute. But, there are opportunities out there for organizations who are willing, who have volunteers who would like to come help or would be happy to help. But sometimes it's just navigators to help them get through the police check process, help them to get through the food handling process, right? To do that. So they're not out there doing that on their own, but there are opportunities. And so I hope we look at those partnerships and build those the relationships that help support these programs, because otherwise it's very hard to run them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think Trustee Strawn is next, and then Trustee Bites.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation and also for all the information about what the various schools are doing. And I think we all kind of had a feeling about this, that it's all very different at each of the schools, depending on all of the factors that we talked about. And I like the idea of the handbook and helping school administrators to understand what's available and some of the best practices. I think Trustee Lloyd brought up a really great point, though, with the mentorship, because I think that as we see in other aspects, okay, great. Okay. Sorry about that. So I think something that we see that works very well in what we do is that we do these, I might say it wrong, but the professional learning centers within our staff. Like, so we do it for math as an example, like we bring people together and then we show them different things. So maybe we can do something like that around food, so that we can help to spread that learning. I'll also say Trustee Lloyd brought up another great point around volunteers. We have our PIC committee. We have a lot of parent council groups that are very active, and like some things, I think that many parent councils could be more active if they had a goal. So if we said like, if you can raise X dollars, or if you can do this, like here's what you can do with it, so that they don't have to imagine that themselves, but there's something that they could work to. So I think we could really leverage those relationships with PIC and with the parent councils, and then help to use those forms that we already have to recruit more and new volunteers. And recruiting volunteers is really difficult. I was at a presentation just yesterday from Why Canada, and they have provincial or national statistics that show that volunteerism and donations are decreasing amongst Canadians year over year. And people are also feeling less connected. So this is a way that people can connect to their community and also maybe volunteer. So I think we can offer that. But the other thing is, and that this goes back to the importance of the handbook and the mentoring, is that we need to, I think, provide people with like clear ways in which they can volunteer. Like, this is your task. This is when you do it. It's time limited. Like, you don't have to spend your whole life doing this, and we're not asking you to do something that's not achievable. So people understand how they can fit it within their schedule, because it's clear that we have a lot of schools doing a lot of great work and a lot of community organizations doing a lot of great work. And I think this is an excellent starting point to bringing that all together. And I see that we have a great team. We've got some good stats. We know this work is very important, and I'm just like jumping ahead a little bit, but in our next, two reports from now, on the Safe Schools Committee, that's one of the top recommendations to have safer schools and decrease school violence, is to provide students with nutrition and make sure that people are getting fed. And so this certainly falls into a number of our priorities and objectives, again, noted here this evening. And even in our last report, I know our Indigenous groups use food often to amplify their programming. So I'm really pleased with what I'm seeing. I think it's a great start, and I just wanted to be able to share those comments and thank you for the work you're doing, and excited to see how it continues to progress.
Thank you, Trustee Strawn. Trustee Bites.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair Gummit. I wanted to ask about the Venn diagrams also, because it was hard to add up. I do love Venn diagrams, but just, with the seeing it quickly. Do all of our schools have nutrition programs? Do all of our elementary schools, and do all of our high schools? I know you broke it up. I just wanted to make sure that was clear, that everyone has something. And then my second follow-up question is, perhaps to you, Principal Reynolds, granted programs are different and needs are different everywhere. Do you feel that it is equitable, that everyone is getting, obviously there could always be more, but do you feel like with the resources we have that we are sharing that equitably based on the needs of what's going on? What's your sense on that? Or are there gaps, or I don't know if you're able to comment. Thank you.
Through the chair to the table. I always have to look at my note to make sure I say that right. Yes, I do believe so. Um, a lot of our areas of next steps are to be looking at ensuring that there aren't gaps and that everyone is receiving what they require within their school, and that there's our food is diverse and culturally responsive to the different students that are in the different schools as well. So yes, I do believe that it is equitable, and through grants and the handbook and everything else, we will continue to build on that. I think that we're at a very beautiful starting point right now in our journey, and it's just going to get better and better as we go.
Follow up, Trustee Bites?
Yes, and I know you guys were nodding your heads when I said, do all of our schools have it? But could you just say it into the microphone so that we have it recorded in the thing? Because they don't catch the nods on the video recording, please.
So all of the schools in Simcoe County have the opportunity to provide food to their students. As we indicated in the presentation, you need to recognize that the interviews were done by principal and not by school. So you may have an administrator speaking for a variety of learning centers or different settings and that sort of thing. So there might be a distinction there, but everybody has the opportunity to provide food to students in their programs. Chair Rafik, please.
Thank you very much. And through the chair, thank you for indulging me one more time. I really liked Trustee Strawn's comments about, the PLCs and trying to help our staff understand things. There's a lot of barriers to food, and I think that not everybody understands that all the time. That's what I've really come across, is that people will look at a certain group and think, no, that person doesn't need help with food or food access. And I hear those types of things a lot, and that's absolutely not true. We don't know what barriers to food are for a family. It's not just finances, it's time, there's so many things. It's access to transportation. We could go on forever. And so I think that learning piece is really, really important for everyone. I think that it's continued learning all the time. So I would really love to see that continue to grow as well. So I have two quick questions. So one of them, I'm not sure if you can even answer. And then the other one, it's just around allergies. I have, just coming from personal experience, I have a house full of gluten-free people, and it's a pretty big deal. And it does make it hard sometimes, right? Like, I definitely have had my kids come home and they couldn't access pancake day, they couldn't access pizza day, and all those types of things, or sub day, or there's so many things, right? And so I was in a position where I would communicate with the school, and I would see those things coming, and I would send pizza that day or whatever, but that's certainly not accessible for everyone. And I mean, I don't know if it's just because I'm in the world of it now, but I think more and more people are having these allergies, and more people are affected by this. And so is that something that we're looking at and making sure that we can access, that we can support students? Because I know that one of the ways that a lot of schools help is they will have extra pizza or extra whatever the hot food is that has been ordered. There's some extra ordered for people, but that's just not something that everybody can have. So I'm just wondering if that's something that's taken into play. And then I'll put both of my questions in. So my other question for Manager Newton, you didn't say an amount with the SCIF. So I wasn't sure if you're able to give us an amount of money that we would receive, or if that's something you're not able to share. But if you are, I would love to hear a number.
So through the chair to the table, and to Trustee Rafik. So in answer to your questions, I'm really happy that you raised the awareness around the point of food access, and some people who experience challenges, it's not always apparent. And this is part of the reason why we are so committed to expanding to meals, because oftentimes nutritional deficits are about missing key nutrients. So the family may be eating, or the child may be eating, but they're not getting a rounded, full range of nutrients. And so that's part of the reason why we're looking to grow. So thank you for that acknowledgement first. That's really helpful to help people understand the reason behind this move that we have. The other piece that you were speaking of really speaks to, again, education, and that's similar to what others have said today, the need to provide information to principals, to provide support. And we do that currently in a variety of ways. And one of the things that we discovered in our conversations is that administrators are very open to learning more. They're very open to getting this information. They are looking forward to it. They are willing to engage. We really did see that in these interviews and these conversations when we asked their opinion and what would you need and what is your dream for your school. They really had a lot to share. So that's going to be a huge part, that education piece and the opportunity to share with our administrators all the strategies that we're coming across. It is happening in some spaces, and so we want to share that best practice as well. So while it may not be consistent everywhere, and a number of you have mentioned community, the goal is to spread it throughout the system. So we're very excited to be able to engage in this way. And I'll turn to Manager Newton to see if she'd like to comment on the SCIF funding further.
Through the chair and to the table, I mean, the news is brand new, so we'll have more details to follow, I would imagine, pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, definitely a exciting announcement for the board. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think Trustee Foley is next, and then we'll come back to Trustee Bites.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you to Superintendent Newby and her team. I just want to say great work. Really looking forward to the rolling out of all this and the work that you're doing. I know that Simcoe Muskoka District Health recently identified that 1 in 3 families in Simcoe region are nutritionally challenged, and 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry at night. So, it's the work you're doing is great. I look forward to seeing more of it. And I also want to mention there are, in my community and other communities, there are a lot of social service clubs that are more than willing to step up and to assist. So please reach out to them, whether it be Optimist or Rotary or Lions Club, always looking for really good opportunities to make our communities better and safer. So if you haven't, please do. I know that the Wasaga Rotary donated a really beautiful fridge to Wasaga Beach Public School. Another company reached out to me recently saying that if any of our schools needed refrigerators, they refurbish commercial fridges and will be happy to do it. So there are a lot of community components that are willing to jump in and help us, help our kids. Just to let you know, and if you need some information, please feel free to reach out to me. But great job. Loved what you're saying. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Trustee Foley. Trustee Bites, please.
Yes, thank you. Through you. Just going off what Trustee Foley said, one of the community groups in my town had grilled cheese day for all my schools, where everyone got a grilled cheese sandwich, and they've done that like twice. So it's really fun. There's a lot of creativity out there, and I think there is a lot of people that care about kids and want to help with this issue. My question was, I know you had like 1 million partners and there was a lot of logos on that. I wanted to ask, because I know a lot of our schools are equipped with garden boxes and such, and I was just wondering if there's any opportunities or if we've explored kind of the gardening, whether it's in a classroom or out in garden boxes, probably obviously with our green industries in high school, but I'm just wondering, is that something we're doing, like teaching kids to grow the food and then helping it support our nutrition program, or if there's any opportunities that kind of connect that kind of farming, gardening aspect to nutrition, please. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and through you, Chair, to the table. Thank you for reminding me with your reference to Grilled Cheese Day that I want to come back and talk about equity, diversity, and inclusion with regards to food options. So Trustee Rafiq did raise that in terms of food intolerances, allergies, what are we doing where that's concerned, and trying to provide as many options as possible is something that we are looking into and would be included in that guide. So again, recipes, alternative options in a particular food group for those who have lactose sensitivities, gluten sensitivities, other allergies, and as well religious accommodations. So ensuring that food is halal for those who need that, or kosher. Like, we're really trying to raise awareness. We really want to also see greater representation in terms of cultural diversity in food options, right? So there are some foods that are specific to cultures. We heard a little bit about it earlier, and so we want to provide those options as well. So there's expanding the education piece around expanding and knowledge. So DEI is very much informing the work that we're doing. So thank you for that piece. And now I'll also take a moment just to comment with regards to things like grow towers, and that's something that I was very excited to get when I was a school principal. We were able to grow lettuce, tomatoes, and pretty much all of the ingredients for regular salads, fresh salads within those grow towers in the building. Of course, folks do have garden boxes. There are some parameters. You have to be very careful. And again, it goes right back to the food handling and making sure that there's safety at the heart of it. I'll also invite Principal Reynolds and Newton to chime in here, but the opportunity to grow food, I've seen some fantastic things in schools. I visited a school where they did have a beehive. And so again, that sort of piece, but you have to make sure that you're meeting all of the public health requirements for food access. But there's so much that schools are doing currently. It's very, very exciting. And we are encouraging schools to access food in a variety of ways, in particular local farms, our donations, and other sources as well. So thank you so much for that question. And I'll turn it over to Principal Reynolds, if you'd like to speak about the growing of food as well.
Thank you. Through the chair to the table, I echo Superintendent Newby's comments. Some of our secondary schools are doing great work, and under my portfolios, I also have eco schools and environment, and we are looking at one of the high schools to do a little snippet of filming there on their wonderful garden boxes and towers that they're doing. Great work that kind of falls under many of my portfolios. So yes, lots of wonderful works out there and more to go. I was speaking with another principal in an elementary school that's looking at creating garden boxes and things. And there's so many different things that we can be doing. So it all depends where people are at, and we'll just meet them where they are, give suggestions, and continue to grow on this journey together.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right. That was wonderful. Thank you so much again for your report. And that takes us to item C, Pro-I-1C, Student Achievement Plan, Public Reporting and Consultation 2026. And I will invite Associate Director Maltby for that report, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to the table. Before you is the Student Achievement Plan Public Reporting Consultation for 2026. In July 2023, the Ministry of Education released the Better Schools and Student Outcomes Act that requires school boards to report on achievement outcomes, preparation of students for future success, and student engagement and well-being. The ministry also requires school boards to communicate their plans using the ministry pre-populated template. The data you see within the report is established and populated by the Ministry of Education. This template has been uploaded to the SCDSB website, where we will collect feedback from community. The template has been and or will be shared with a number of committees, including SEAC, PIC, and the Equity Advisory Committees, as well as a social media campaign. To fulfill the requirements of motion PRO-2026-04-22-23, we have also included additional data that connects to our school board census in relation to suspensions. Expulsions were not reported, as the number of expulsions would be identifiable for those students. When viewing the additional data, and this is referenced in the front matter of the attachment, please know that the data has been presented using two methods, one proportions and/or counts. Results that are shared as counts are due to smaller sample sizes where proportions may not accurately reflect the entire population. And it's also worthy to note, and it's included in the front matter, that the census data is collected every 4 years. So there will be a lag with that data. So the data collected right now is a year old, but the student achievement plan that gets posted each year won't have updated census data the next year or the year after. It will be the 4th year. With that, happy to take questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Trustee Bites, please.
Yes, thank you, Trustee Grummett. Through you to Associate Director Maltby. This is just one page. Where are all the numbers and the data, or is this just a plan of what you will be posting or will be providing later? Sorry, I just, I know there's a few links in here. I just, you said that expulsions with the data and suspensions, no, but I'm just wondering where the actual numbers are. Thanks.
Okay, Associate Director Maltby, please.
Sure, thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Bites. So there's directions within the report that take you to the Student Achievement Plan, and in that Student Achievement Plan, there's a section called Additional Data. Now, the template is very tricky. It's not our template, so we use the ministry template, which caused some issues. So that additional data is actually a PDF that is right below the link to Student Achievement Plan. So it's embedded on the board website. That information was posted the day that this report was sent out to trustees within this report.
Follow up, Trustee Bates?
Yeah, no, it would be nice if it could be included next time you bring it, just in the package. I like paper, I know it's archaic, but I have to look at a screen so much during the day that it gives me a headache. So just a request, maybe I can get a copy. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you very much for that. And that now takes us to item D, Pro-I-1D, Safe Schools Committee Final Report, and that will be Associate Director Maltby, please.
Thank you, and through the chair, before you is the culmination of recommendations provided by the Safe School Committee. This committee was formed as a result of a Board of Trustees motion to create a working committee comprised of trustees, community agencies, caregivers, and union members to discuss and recommend strategies to reduce violence, identify resources within school communities, and to ensure a broad and inclusive perspective in shaping approaches to school safety was heard. While I am a board staff member speaking to this report, please know that I do so on behalf of the committee. I want to begin by thanking the members of the committee and the staff members who spent their evenings either at the board office or in virtual meetings to discuss this important topic. I can say they were passionate and eager to contribute perspectives and advice. It's important to note that the Committee of Community Members, Union Reps, Trustees first discussed the strategies that were currently in place before voting on direction for the Safe Schools Committee. And that direction was decided by the voting members of the committee and included mental health and well-being and a focus on Black student experience and safety. The report first outlines all the recommendations from the committee, and that was very important to the committee that we include all those recommendations. We spent, I think, 2 hours working through those. Several chart papers and sticky notes were made to capture all that thinking. And then details the recommendations that are currently in place, all recommendations. And then the second, the last appendice is around the recommendations that are currently in place or and not fulfilled, but currently working towards being fulfilled. This format was again decided upon the committee. As I said, it was important to include all the recommendations. I would like to note that although there were 2 areas of focus and learnings and teachings recommended in Appendix B, all these recommendations are accessible and meaningful to all students. When we look at the recommendations put forth by community organizations, We see alternatives to suspensions and expulsions that focus more on de-escalation and resolution through cultural lens. These include community supports, peer mentors, restorative practices, and as Vice Chair Strawn had mentioned, nutrition, and with a focus on healing and experience sharing. As we continue to gather community and student input through the Dreams Delayed consultation process, the SCDSB has and continues to pursue community partnerships in these areas, some of which are noted within the report. And these are newly formed, well, Making Change, that relationship isn't newly formed, but there is a grant that was applied for through Making Change and in partnership with the DI department. We have a new relationship with a Black-led organization called Sobona, which supports families with special education needs, and the Black Fathers Alliance, which is, again, a new partnership that Superintendent Webb is working with to provide mentorship for Black students and post-graduate pathways and careers. The Indigenous and DI departments have also begun work with graduation coaches, some of which you heard earlier, to reframe what progressive discipline can look like, noting a focus on healing and restorative practices and community involvement, and that will benefit all students. With that, happy to take questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, we'll start with Trustee Bites.
Yes, thank you. Through you to Associate Director Maltby. Why are there two reports in here? Why is there an amended recommendation for Black students and also recommendations for Safe School Committee? It gives the impression that all our violence is somehow race related. And I'm just wondering if I'm not on the committee, so I don't understand the rationale or the discussions. If you could give some context to the why we have two different sets of recommendations from the committee. Thank you.
Okay, Associate Director Maltby, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Bates. So I tried to address that at the beginning of my speaking points, and that was that the committee had voted on two areas of focus that the committee would actually work towards. The first one being mental health and well-being strategies. The second being a focus on Black student experience. So that was the two areas of focus that the committee decided on. So that's why you would see the three appendices, one that outlines all the suggestions, one that outlines those focused on the Black student experience, and then the last appendice, which is a list of things that we discussed with the committee that were taking place within our schools currently.
Okay. All right. Chair Rafik, please.
Thank you, and through the chair. My question was in a similar realm. I was a little surprised to see the amendment for Black students, and I think that's great to have. But it did make me question, what about all of our other racialized groups? I was surprised that I saw Black students, but not a page on Indigenous students. Or, as a trustee, it's very important that we are here to represent all students within the board. So I think about all the other racialized group. And I think all of us, it does come back to our personal experience as well. I am a mother of racialized children who would not be represented under that as well. And so it did make me question. So I'm curious if that came up at the committee meetings. Was that part of the discussion at all, other groups? Or I'm just curious how it came about to focus on one group in particular and not all racialized students.
Okay, Associate Director Maltby, please.
Sure, thank you, and through the chair to Chair Rafik. So yes, the strategies that were discussed and the resources available in the community agencies were discussed at the beginning. So the first, I'm going back a year and a half. So the first few meetings was focused on like community resources and things out there. But the committee decided to focus on those two areas. But, as we heard earlier with the Indigenous Student Achievement Report, a lot of what is happening and can happen in our schools under Indigenous teachings, under Afrocentric teachings, those are good for all students. Like that restorative healing is good for everybody.
Follow up, Chair Rafik.
Thank you very much, and through the chair. And thank you. I greatly appreciate that. And I would agree. They are. It's just when we label things in a certain way, it's, I just can't help it. I looked at that and I thought, what about, why are we not talking about all of our racialized groups? Because I'm sorry if I'm not completely up to date with our census data. I believe we had, the last one in my mind was 6% was Black students. But I know we have other racialized groups that are close to that or the same. And so I know that they are experiencing difficulties as well, and some of very similar differences. And so, like I said, I was just very curious how that was born out of the committee and if that was part of the discussion. So thank you for your insight there. I did have one other question too. Just what's the committee working on next? Is there a next step for the committee? Is that, will it be the same focus going on, or do they have a new certain focus, or?
Yes, Associate Director Maltby, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Chair Rafik. So the committee had a mandate which lasted 18 months. So and I forget the last meeting that I had. It was, I think, in January of this year. I think we actually amended the motion to add an additional meeting because we required that. But that mandate ended. We have the solutions. We have the recommendations because they're that were put forth by committee. We've started our meetings around the implementation of some of those and strengthening some of those recommendations.
Okay. I think Trustee Strawn is next, and then we'll do Trustee Lloyd, please.
Thank you. So I was part of the committee, and I just wanted to provide, I guess, just some highlights from the committee perspective to complement Associate Director Maltby's comments, and also extend my thanks to all of the committee members, the parents and groups who volunteered their time to come in and talk about these very important issues, as well as the staff team that we had. We had other superintendents and then principals and staff from various schools, as well as union representation. And I think we had a fairly diverse group. Everybody coming together who were genuinely concerned about creating safer schools. So in the context of our discussions, one thing that I would highlight is that the committee really, I think, believed that the individual schools were all working to ensure student safety and student success, students feeling welcome and well-being, and then just thought that there were things that we could do to add on to that. And all of the recommendations, which many of them we are implementing, some are new partnerships that were formed that came from this. Others were ideas that we came across by looking at what other school boards were doing, what was happening in other communities. But the big thing that really resonated with me was that there's so much happening within our own board. And like, just as we were talking about student nutrition, we can learn from each other and from what each of the individual schools are doing and draw on the successes that we've had, expand and amplify programs. And so I thought, like, just overall, our experience as a committee was very positive. And I also like that so many of the recommendations are things that we can put into place. And some of them we've already put into place. And many of them are at no additional cost. They're not like these big complex things. They're things that are, I'm not going to say easy. Maybe they're simple to do. They're not easy to do. But they're things that are within our realm. And I'm also just excited to see the number of things that are moving forward based on these discussions already. And a great example is the Black Fathers Alliance, which I think is just a really great group. One of the
one of the members of that group was on the committee and saw an opportunity to partner with the school board through the work that they're doing. And again, it kind of goes back to the presentation that we had with the Indigenous groups where people talked about like seeing themselves. And this individual who was part of our committee was talking about how a lot of our Black students can't see themselves or don't see themselves in a variety of different post-secondary options or education based on what's portrayed in the media, like not based on what Simcoe County District School Board's doing, but just like the general overall culture. And this group is coming in and doing some mentoring work and highlighting like, here are some different post-secondary pathways. Here are some jobs that are available to you and how you get there, and working with us to build that confidence. And again, I think as Associate Director Maltby said, these programs are good for everybody. And I think that's something that we talked about a lot at the committee as well, is that there were these focused areas that we looked at because like we had 18 months and we had a set number of meetings that were a set amount of time and a limited amount of resources. So we knew we couldn't do everything for everybody. And we wanted to focus in on where are some places where we could potentially make an impact, and also talked about how like the rising tide rises all ships, or whatever that saying is, that these programs, if they are looking at one specific group, do have benefits that ripple through the school community and then could possibly be duplicated for other groups. So I, again, just want to say that I was happy to be part of the committee. I thought that our conversations were very positive and proactive, and I thank all of the members of the committee, the community volunteers, the staff, and then also Trustee Connors was our fellow trustee on the committee who gave a lot of her time and effort as well. So thank you, and thank you for the report.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Strawn. I think Trustee Foley is next, and then Trustee Foley is next. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you to the superintendent. You mentioned discipline and restorative justice. Perhaps you could just explain a little bit about restorative justice and some of the steps that have been taken to create that, and just explain that to me and to us.
Okay, Associate Director Maltby, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Foley. So restorative circles have been around for quite some time in Simcoe County District School Board. There was definitely training through the Indigenous Department for schools to conduct restorative circles. That is one method. For a restorative circle to happen, though, you have to have agreement and willingness from all the parties involved to sit and to discuss those issues. So while it can be a very powerful tool, Trustee Foley, it does take that level of agreement for people to sit down and have those discussions with one another.
Okay, follow up, Trustee Foley.
Thank you. Could you elaborate a little bit more as to the parameters to this? Because this is something I'm not familiar with, and I'm sure others aren't as well.
Okay, Associate Director Maltby.
Sure, and through the chair to Trustee Foley. So the specifics, I would have to come back if you wanted like a detailed report on what a restorative circle looks like. So I could definitely bring that back, Trustee Foley.
I'd appreciate that just from my own personal knowledge, and I'm sure for others as well, but it sounds like a really well thought out well-being thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Bites, please.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair Grummett. It's a good week for Chair Grummett. She's really having a great week. All right. I wanted to ask, it sounds like this committee's done, like 18 months and done. How are you guys going to report back on the implementation of these recommendations. I know there were concerns raised when this committee was formed that there wasn't good advertising, aka no police partners were on this Safe Schools Committee, which didn't seem to be logically make any sense, given it's a Safe Schools Committee and they're one of our key partners. I remember having discussions about that. So my understanding was that this would be an ongoing committee, like we would then have another round, get another group that would continue on the work, and what are the plans in that aspect? Thank you.
Okay, Associate Director Maltby, please.
Thank you. And through the chair to Trustee Bites. So the motion was formed by trustees and voted on by trustees, and that was discussed at this table. And the time limit was 18 months. So we followed that motion and that mandate by this table. Certainly, reporting back, we've have brought principals to the table through our school climate survey and through Superintendent Young to report on different aspects of what is happening. And the data would be shown through school climate surveys and students' feeling of safety.
Follow-up, Trustee Bites?
Thank you. Through you, that was not my understanding of the motion at all. I thought that your first report was due in 18 months, not that it would be dissolved in 18 months. Perhaps I missed something. I didn't think that was the original intent. And then I guess my question, I don't know, maybe to the director, do we need another motion to keep this committee going? How would that work? And do we have the motion? Because I thought we made like all this stuff about it, like terms of reference, and like I thought this was a committee to stay. So I am a little shocked that this is kind of, that's great, you gave us a report, but then it's kind of completed. That was not my understanding. Maybe I misunderstood. I'm not sure. But I thought this was an ongoing committee.
I think Director Stevens is going to take that one.
Thank you, and through you to Trustee Bites. Nope, this was not an outstanding committee. It was a set committee with a timeline and a focused goal, and they have completed that through this report, as was mentioned by Associate Director Maltby. Doesn't mean the work is done. There's still lots to do with the work. It means the work of the committee is done at this time.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. Any other comments? Trustee Lloyd.
Thank you, and through you to the table. I think the committee has done a lot of good work here. I think there are a lot of good recommendations, and I believe a lot of what's happening here is not police related. It's not criminal behavior, right? It's deregulation, it's escalated behavior, it is disrespectful behavior. It's some of those things, right? That's not within the mandate of the police. Police are not going to be dealing with this stuff in the schools. So I'm quite comfortable with the work that was done by this committee. I will share similar concerns related to the focus, identifying one group. The mandate of this committee was for the board. So if you were a parent reading this report and you were Jewish and your children had experienced anti-Semitism or Islamophobia or any of those things, I don't think where the intent of the committee may have been to have all of these things applicable. That's not how the report reads, unfortunately, which is somewhat, I will say, disappointing in my perspective. Because I think from a holistic report as a board, we need to focus on all of our students. And, if we task this committee with focusing on particularly Black students or another group of students, that would have been one thing, but I don't think we did. And so I take this from the perspective as a parent if I read this report, right? And what you intend and what the wording say may be very, very different. And interpreted very differently. That said, there are a lot of good recommendations within this report. I will say to you that, when you look at what's already being done or was already being done by the board, a lot of it is already being done. Would we all like more social workers? Yes, we would. Would we all like more graduation coaches? Yes, we would, right? But we all know we have to work within the allocated funding that we have, and we're at the mercy of the Ministry of Education at this point in time. But, I think that the report reflects a really in-depth look at this and this situation and what is transpiring. and from a holistic recommends many different things to support students and to help reduce, the unwanted or the negative behaviors. I think that if we focus on the work that's outlined, which is lots in this report, and move it forward, hopefully, and it's not going to correct itself overnight. It took us a long time to get to this situation, and it's probably going to take us just as long to get out of this situation, and hopefully. And this situation exists in the broader community. It's not, I was on a call today with Chair Rafiq with the Ontario Public School Board Association. It was brought up there that, there's a lot of societal challenges right now. And, schools don't have the resources to fix all societal problems. We can do what we can, but we can't fix it all. So I think if we focus in on these reports, focus in on the recommendations, and focus in on the work that needs to continue over a long period of time, probably, with the hopes of reducing this this situation, whether it be aggressive incidents or unacceptable behavior, we will work to achieve our goal in the long term with respect to this. So, I thank the committee, 18 months, and that's a lot of meetings to occur, and there's a lot of work to get to where we are. And I'm sure there was a lot of learning that took place on part of the members of the committee too, to do this. So very grateful to the members of the committee and for bringing these recommendations forward. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any further questions, comments? Oh, Trustee Bites.
So, sorry, I guess my other question didn't really get answered. Can you read the original motion?
Director Stevens?
So we'd have to find it. So we can search for the original motion, but it was done last fall by Trustee Strawn. We'd have to go through all of the minutes to find the original motion. I'm not going to be able to do it right here on the spot, but I could get it emailed out to everyone tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask, could we get it for board at the end of the month, please? Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Connors, please.
Thank you to you, Chair. Just to the table and maybe Associate Director Maltby. I'm just looking at my notes from 2024. And we we knew as a committee that we did not have enough meetings to get what needed to be done. And we were breaking up into subcommittees so that we can have extra meetings that weren't on the books, I guess, to say that we had Zoom and we broke down to what I have written down, and I may have written it down wrong, or this report may have come out with the way it ended at the end, being more focused on one particular group. But I wrote down mental health, which was my subcommittee that I ended up going. The other subcommittee I wrote down was racialized students. So I don't know what happened from what I wrote down in December to the end, but I don't think it was meant to leave anybody out. And I think some of these practices can be for everybody, not just one particular group, but I think it's just how it ended up. But I just wanted to thank everybody who came out. There were a lot of parents and groups, union members, trustees, student trustees. We had two, because we had a little change of student trustees there over the year. They came to the meetings and they provided a lot of feedback and what was happening in our schools on their side of what they were seeing. So I just wanted to thank everyone. I know a lot of them wanted to come tonight, and I know an email went out to them inviting them to come because they were adamant that they were coming, but I'm sad to see that no one came because they were kind of adamant that they wanted to see this report come out to board from all the work they did. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Connors. And thank you also again to every single person. There's a lot of people, as Trustee Connors shared, that participated. So I'm very grateful for this report. Okay, thank you. That takes us to correspondence, and we do not have any. And then other matters. Any other matters? No, I don't see any. Are there any notices of motion for next meeting? Okay. And we do not have any items for closed session, so that will take us to adjournment. Do I have a mover for that? Chair Rafik, seconded by Trustee Powell. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, and have a safe evening on your way home. Thank you.